Welcome back to another episode from the Optimal Body Podcast. I'm DocJen.
And I'm Dr. Dom.
And today we're talking about IT band syndrome. What exactly is it? We'll break it down and even give you some exercises as to what can help. So before we dive into the nuances on IT band syndrome, we've actually done an episode like this prior. So we won't touch on too much of what we touched on before and go a little bit more into what the current research is saying right now and what we know to be true of what can help. And we really want to make sure that you don't miss out on future episodes, because even though we might redo an episode or touch on a topic again, we're going to bring up the newer research that is now associated with it as well. So if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. Comment below with any other diagnoses or pains or symptoms that you're having, and let us know if you've had IT band syndrome and what you found has helped within your own body.
All right, back by popular demand for this week's PT Pearl is IT band, which I feel like comes up all the time. So many people, especially who tend to be more active or have exercise that includes a lot of running or jumping, might experience IT band at one point or another. And we did a previous episode on this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Then we go a bit more over the anatomy and different, physiology, the biology essentially of IT band, and give a few exercises. But today we're going to talk a little bit more into current research, what things are saying on how to address this, and what IT band actually is really, because I feel like there's so many different misconceptions about what's happening.
I think understanding a little bit more of the why, like what exactly is this IT band? Starting off, yes, it's an overuse injury, kind of like a tendinopathy or anything else that we do repetitively one way and not increasing other things in the body. But if we look at the IT band itself, this iliotibial tract, this band, this structure, it's a really taut band that is there, like how we've been built, because we don't want to fall side to side when we're walking straight forward. So it's literally a structure built into our bodies to help us navigate forward better.
Yeah, every time we walk, walking alone, especially for going upstairs, we're putting multiple times our body weight worth of force through each leg. And so rather than having our muscles always need to take that on, we have this more passive structure that doesn't have a lot of stretch to it, that doesn't have a lot of give to it, that's made out of primarily collagen, which is one of the strongest types of building blocks our body has. It takes a lot of that force. But then when we jump, when we run, when we're putting a lot of that impact through one leg, especially in single leg activities, we're putting from 8 to 12 times our body weight in force through the side of our body. So tons of force goes through this thing. So essentially it's this overuse injury that starts to irritate some of the more highly innervated tissues just below that distal IT band around the outside of the knee.
What can help with something that could be compressing a bursa or potentially irritating those nerves in that area, right? That are eliciting and sending those signals to the brain that's saying pain. And also know that pain isn't just mechanical, right? So this is one area and one cause that we're saying potentially could be the reason that you're having pain on the outside of your knee. But pain is so multifactorial, and we've talked about this on every podcast, that mechanical pain is one reason that you're having pain, but another reason you could be having pain is because you're not getting enough sleep. Your battery is running on low. And when our battery is running on low, we're not getting enough sleep, we're not getting enough nutrients, we're not hydrating, we're not all these things. The signals that we're sending down into the body start to be a little bit more heightened, right? And so we have to look at things that are going to reduce those signals that are coming down and being so strongly interpreted as pain. And so we want to start looking at, okay, well then what actually helps to reduce this pain on the side of the knee?
What are the top 3 that are so popularized that people say online we should be doing?
One of the things I actually got reached out to for an article, and I actually don't think I shared about it because I was like, I did it for them, but it was about stretching. What are the stretches that help with IT band? I tried to be very explicit in the article in saying that these exercises or mobility work that I'm providing aren't necessarily going into the IT band.
Well, they might put a little tension through the IT band, but it's not stretching the IT band.
Exactly. We can't do anything that's necessarily going to elongate the tissue, especially with a passive stretch. What we can do do is start to talk to the musculature around the IT band, around your hip, around your knee, right? And start to say, okay, maybe these need to be calmed down a little bit. Maybe we need to reduce some of the tension and pressure here. And that's what mobility can kind of help with, but it's not necessarily putting enough elongation. And studies are continuing to show there's not one good stretch for your IT band that really makes it effective enough to do anything significant.
Then we could work into some more of the actual things that might help you long-term address why your IT band continues to have this overuse injury or pain, essentially.
And now one of the other really
the big ones,
really popular techniques toward IT band is foam rolling the IT band.
Foam rolling. Those are the three that I was thinking of: stretching, foam rolling, and massage, or any sort of tool, like massage, percussion gun. They all kind of fall under that same category.
Exactly. And honestly, when we look at the studies for foam rolling, like no studies have been found that using a foam roller on your IT band actually improves any symptoms in your IT band syndrome.
Yeah. And again, it's similar to stretching. Using it directly on your IT band, maybe not. If you use it on your glutes and your TFL and your quads and your hamstrings and maybe on your calf down where the IT band, the outside of the leg, on the outside of the calf where the IT band will be attaching into up there, like, will that help then relax some of the muscles in the area, give you a generalized reduction of pain in the area? Maybe. So I think it's just a misnomer when people say foam roll the IT band itself versus use that foam roller to target the muscles that may be pulling into and pulling on the IT band so that you can then go and train them. It's just not as sexy of an Instagram caption.
So anything that we're doing, even if we're stretching, if we're massaging, if we're, any of the tools that we're using, we're creating a very short-lived change within the tissue that helps to improve that range of motion. So we must immediately then go into training and strength training. And the reason why it's good to kind of couple these two together is if we can get that muscle tissue to relax, well then we get that full range of motion. Now we get that full relaxation, that full contraction. And you don't really get a strong enough contraction if something is always super tight. And that super tight tension around an area too can be a result of increasing that sensitivity of pain.
Are these all useless when used by themselves and not paired with anything else?
Yeah.
Fairly useless. In the article that I was reading, it said, do we see, and this was kind of anecdotal and they were just more so posing the question, but do we see IT band syndromes in people who have more laborious jobs and who are up and doing more throughout the day because their activity is stretched throughout a span in their day where their body is more used to it likely. They've been doing that consistently. They don't have drastic changes in the amount of activity and load they put on their body throughout the day. And it made me pause and think like, yeah, their body probably does adapt more consistently over time and doesn't have the extreme highs and lows of activity and sedentary behaviors in one single day.
Strengthening around your hip does help to improve IT band syndrome. What we do know, progressively starting to not overload, but just progressively load into that tissue and progressively strengthen in the hips in a safe, we do need to get back into exercises and start loading that area.
Yeah. And so why don't we talk through kind of these three levels that we've been talking about of the exercises. And so level 1 is starting with more what we would call open chain exercises, where open chain essentially means your foot's not planted into anything. So like a side lying hip abduction where you're laying on your side, bringing your hip to the outside, which can be a kind of tricky exercise to make sure you're targeting the right space, but that's a whole nother conversation. Or like a side lying hip external rotation, like a clam of sorts. Again, something where there's good and bad versions of clams. So,
and then you can kind of move into, some glute bridges, which is technically closed chain because we're putting our foot down.
But still relatively low load.
But low load. Yeah. And this isn't just like, let's do bridges up and down. I think what's important about all these exercises is that we do start with isometric holds. Isometric holds helps to reduce that sensitivity to pain in the area. It also helps to kind of build that strength and awareness and control in that area. And then we start to kind of put some repetitions behind. So if we're doing like clam holds, I like that better. Glute holds, and really feeling those muscles start to fire and holding for at least 30 seconds to a minute, I think is a great place to start. And then we can go into level 2, which is kind of like our moderate load. Now we're starting in what's called quote unquote closed chain exercises. So we're starting to stand. We're doing mini squats. So maybe this is like assisted squats, right? So going to within your pain tolerance. If it's not very low, it's not very low then. Or if you need some support to help you to use those muscles and not feel as much pain, Okay, then you're using some support, starting to go into lunges, starting to go into side steps, things that are going to start to put a little bit more tension, repetition through those muscles.
Yeah, essentially getting the hips functionally loading and put multi-directional tension through those hips. So like the side steps, squats, which is more of a balanced exercise, versus a lunge, which are going to be a little bit more on one leg during. And then after that, the phase 3 would be to kind of start loading it up. And how do we get back to doing, these functional movements, but with a little more load, and then even working into plyometric exercises. So, for squats, instead, you could do a goblet squat. For lunges, you're maybe holding dumbbells in your hands. You're trying to a forward lunge versus a reverse lunge versus a step out lunge, all sorts of different variations where it's going to load you slightly differently. You're going to be activating slightly different muscles, and then progressing into plyometrics, which whatever that means for you, a lot of people think plyometrics and they think jumping, but plyometrics can just be going up on your toes and dropping onto your heels. And that heel drop puts a jolt of force through your body that your IT bands are going to need to respond to. And if you are somebody who's wanting to get back to running, like, are you able to jump from foot to foot and hold and balance on that single leg, and then jump back and hold and balance? And that's going to start to get us in more of this neuro-reactive state of being able to work on balance and how our muscles all coordinate together and put coordinated tension through that IT band.
And overall, just continuing to say, okay, if we want to progress load over time, that's either increasing the amount of reps that we're doing, that's increasing the amount of load, or that is slowing a movement down. And I think slowing a movement down, it can be so incredibly beneficial. A lot of times, especially with exercise programs, we're taught to kind of, push through. You have 45 seconds, like as many reps as possible, or, and I think especially when we're thinking of rehabbing, if you can slow yourself down, and this is what I do in like all of our challenges or all of our workout plans, is always getting people to slow things down, because you'll feel it so much more. And you feel it so much more because you're bringing more awareness to the movement. When we bring more awareness to the movement, we're still getting time under tension. So we're still loading, and progressing, but we're making sure that we're doing it in a really controlled manner. We're not overcompensating, and we're teaching the body a proper movement. So I think, really being mindful of that, not rushing the process, really slowing things down and becoming just like a master of your own body. And as you continue to strengthen is a really great way to kind of reframe how I'm rehabbing my knee.
Thanks for tuning in for another PT Pearl. Do you have IT band? Have you experienced this before? Please comment below. Also, hit that subscription button and notification bell so you can stay tuned to everything that we put out in the future. And of course, we'll see you next time.